In the beginning, there was the C major scale. Okay, not really, but that's a much larger and longer discussion. And it was boring. So composers started rearranging the set of sequential pitches within a given collection, giving birth to the concept of different scales in music, which were then promptly lost thanks to general illiteracy during the medieval era. So, scholars taking cues from Boethius's De Institutione Musica attempted to recreate the Greek scalar modes and ended up with the ones that we have today that are probably absolutely nothing like actual ancient Greek scales. By rearranging the sequence of notes, they rearranged the order of whole and half steps within each resulting collection, creating new modes that are Ionian, also known as major, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, also known as the natural minor, and Locrian. Even though I'm only using the white keys of C major, each of these has its own unique sound and connotations based on where they start within the scale. Dorian, for example, goes from D to D, while Locrian goes from B to B, but still plays all of the notes within C major, and only C major. These give them a different ordering of whole and half step, and subsequently, they have their own unique sound and cultural connotations, some being happy or sad, amorous or warlike, stable or unstable. There was also a prevailing belief that they can influence the behavior of the audience to commit acts of civic virtue, inflame the passions, or inspire madness and suicide. And if you believe that, I have a bridge I'd like to sell you. Taking these collections, we can see how each one starts and ends on the same note, but the ordering of whole and half steps in between is always different when we compare it to the Ionian or major mode. Extending the minor mode from natural to harmonic, we can also see that there is not always a whole or half step in between sequential pitch classes. Some can be larger, like the augmented second in the harmonic minor mode from F to G sharp. Similarly, by looking at the melodic minor form, we can see a scale with different ascending and descending forms. The tonic and most notes remain the same, but some of the pitches are dependent on if you're moving up or down in the scale. This is the key. All scales are really just a set collection of pitches arranged in ascending and descending order from the tonic up an octave and then back down. They can have 7 unique notes called heptatonic, which corresponds to the standard diatonic pitch classes used in Western music. C major, A minor, B flat major, E flat minor, all have 7 unique notes before you hit the octave. But they can have fewer, as in the pentatonic scale, like the pentatonic major, or the pentatonic minor. which are commonly used in Eastern music and folk music. They can have 8 notes, or octatonic, they could have all 12 notes as in the chromatic scale, they could have 6 tones, like the whole tone scale, or its alternate form, or the ever-popular blues scale. Or, if you're willing to get outside of the Western canon, you can even have microtonal intervals, such as in the Arabic maqam bayati. Which is very common outside of Western music. Scales can even be constructed based on internal symmetry or palindromic properties. Take a look at what's known as the double harmonic minor, or in Arabic, maqam shahnaz, here based on D. This is an interesting case. The double harmonic scale is created by taking a symmetrical collection of half steps, augmented second, half step, to create a tetrachord. This tetrachord is then repeated a fifth up from the tonic to complete the scale. Now, there are some really interesting properties to this. The scale is palindromic in terms of the intervallic content. You move up or down by the same interval every step. That's pretty cool. It's an extension of axial symmetry from last semester when we talked about Bartók. And you get some really interesting chords as a result of stacking thirds. For example, D major, E flat major, F sharp minor, G minor, A major, but with a flat 5, B flat augmented, and C sharp diminished with an even further lowered third. We're definitely not in C major anymore. The best part is that the possibilities are endless. You can create scales based on ordering any pitches you want, although generally you will want to stick to using the fewest number of accidentals on a given pitch class as possible. For example, don't use A flat, A sharp, when you could just as easily use G sharp, A, B flat. Use those enharmonic notes. This is a general rule, though. There are exceptions for extended chromatic collections, scales with different ascending and descending forms, and especially for microtonal music, although that last one really is beyond the scope of this class. If you're interested, check out the Zen Harmonic Wiki to get started, or send me questions. Historically, composers have gone pretty crazy for new scales. Generally, as soon as they learn about a new scale, they tend to incorporate it into their works, as you'll hear in this week's listening, the Bacchanal from Samson and Delilah by Saint-Saëns, which uses the double harmonic minor scale, or maqam shahnaz, based on E, in 2 parts, at approximately 2:34 and 7 minutes in the linked video. Listen to the massive shift in sound before and after he shifts to this scale. It's pretty dramatic.